Now, the axis line drawing is based on, I'll spin this side of the computer over, still see me? So axis line drawing is based on two lines, an X and a Y axis, right? You guys have probably heard of those in your math classes. So what we're doing is using multiple sets of the axis and creating a drawing, something artistic using those, okay? So if everybody would just draw, and of course get a ruler that you can see the lines, right? And draw two 3-inch lines as your axis. So there's one 3-inch line. Here's another 3-inch line. And just make a big L. Middle of your page is fine. We're just doing, kind of a demo, right? I'm going to go a little bit fast, but I'm recording this, and I'm going to post this in today's module. Okay? So if you fall behind, try to stay up the best you can. And if you get to the point where you're really, really confused, just maybe put your pencil down and just kind of watch, and then you can rewatch this after we're finished. Okay, it won't take me very long, just a few minutes to get it posted. And even if you wanted to go on and work on other stuff and then come back later this afternoon or evening and rewatch, that's fine. Okay. All right. So on your ruler, depending on what your ruler looks like, these are the whole inch marks, right? So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on, depending on how long your ruler is. The one in between is the ½ inch mark. And then you can see like the marks usually get shorter as they split each fraction, right? So if you go between a whole inch mark and a ½ inch mark, you're going to find the 1/4 inch mark. Okay, the 1/4 inch mark, 1/4. That's what I want you guys to plot your points. The first one, I want us to do just ½ inch. So here's where they connect, and now every ½ inch mark a point. Now, eventually, when you do your final design, you want these points to be small as you can see them. Okay, I'm doing mine a little bit larger for your benefit just so you can see it. Okay, so there's a half, go to the next hole. So we're going every ½ inch, half, whole, half, all the way to the end, right? So I'm going to make these even a little bit bigger. Again, you really want to use small points at first. If it's confusing, use the large ones just that way you can see them really well. Okay. Same thing for here, line it up. And you don't always have to line up at the end of the ruler, right? You can just pick any whole inch and then start marking every ½ inch. Eventually your challenge will be to do every 1/4 inch, and it'll make like longer, smoother lines, but a ½ inch is great to start, especially when we learn. Now, one thing we're going to do on the demo that you don't have to do later once you get the hang of this, some of you will catch on real quick. Some of you already got it, right? But some of you will struggle a little bit, and that's okay. I promise. This is drawing one. This is what we're supposed to be doing, learning how to draw, learning how to use, a ruler and map things out and do different types of drawings. All right, so what I want you to do is from the very first dot you see on the bottom axis, the very first one right here, I want you to write the number 1 below it. And then count and label them numerically, going left to right. We should have, for a 3-inch, every ½ inch, we should have 6 plotted points. Okay? Now, I want you to start at the top of the other line. And we both know these are 3 inches. We mark these off. They're even. We'll talk about uneven lines later. But for us, right now, they're even lines. I want you to start at the top and label it 1. And numerically label them horizontally, or vertically on your way down. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Make sure you don't number over here because that's where our drawing will actually be. Okay. Now, you're going to connect the same numbers. So line your ruler up. I always like to put my pencil down on the first dot and then move my ruler to it, and then slide around to the other number 1 and draw your first line. So now I have the number 1 at the end of this one to the number 1 at the beginning of that one. Now we're going to do the same thing for number 2. You're going to put your arm right here, your pencil, line it up to that number 2, strike your line. Right? Now we're going to go number 3 to number 3. Put my pencil down on that point so I don't get lost. Move it around. Move my hand so you can see it. To right there where it's lined up. And I'm pushing my ruler down pretty firm so it doesn't wiggle and move like that as I'm drawing. Now we continue 4 to 4, 5 to 5, and so on. Now obviously this could be as long as we'd want it to be. It could be on a wall if we had, a huge straight edge and a big paintbrush or whatever. So this could become something really interesting as we go along. Now, you'll notice that it looks like a curve, right? Okay. It just has to do with the overlapping straight lines. Okay. So that's our first set. So this is one axis set. So when I tell you, hey, draw 3 axis sets, this is one, okay? Now, we can connect more sets from this same set. And we're going to look at in just a moment how we can connect several of those, okay? If I take it from this, which is the axis point, okay, and I draw another 3-inch line, now I can go and plot points on this one. Oops. And remember we said every 1/2 inch. Right? Okay. So on yours, you can leave these numbers. I'm going to erase these to save any confusion. That's just to get us kind of acclimated to which dots connect where. And now all I have to remember is the furthest away dot on the same length axis goes to the closest to the axis point of the other. So from here, put my pencil down on the dot, move my ruler over, slide it around till I get to the other dot, press firmly, connect. Okay? Just like an advanced game of connect the dots. Do the same thing. Pencil down, move it over, connect. And since once I get into this and I'm doing multiple axis sets, all you have to do is keep in mind that you don't skip a dot. Like just put your pencil down on the first point that you're moving, make sure you don't skip. And then if I'm over here getting ready to draw a line, I can look and see, oh, I've skipped a dot. You make sure I move it back to the correct one, draw, and finish it out. So I pushed a little too hard on that one. That's okay. All right. Try to keep your pencil not very angled, not down here as you'll push under the ruler just like I did. All right. So again, here's your curve, okay, created by the straight lines. Now this side will be very obtuse, but we can do the same thing. This one would connect to this one. Pencil down. And you'll notice it almost touches as it takes off, right? It's a very wide angle, very large angle, open angle, obtuse angle, right? Now, how many axis sets do we have? We have axis set 1. We have axis set 2. And we have axis set 3. All right? All we have to do is count our openings. Okay? And that's already 3 sets. And you can see like how that looks like 3-dimensional already with it going back. And we'll talk about shading and things like that next week. Right now, we're just worried about getting our demo. So what I really want is for everyone, and if you've not stayed up with me, that's okay. I've done this 100 times, so I understand. But the advantage of doing the virtual learning is that I'm recording this, and you'll be able to rewatch. So I'll hang out there for a second, and then we'll talk about what you need to do after one other thing. Okay, so I will say I'm going to get a new sheet here real quick. Many times when over the years when students get confused, they plot their points, right? And they start connecting the same dot. And there's no overlapping, right? So this is wrong, correct? Another thing, a very, very important thing to remember, I'll flip that over, is what if somebody's like, well, Mr. Bolander, I have one 4-inch line and I have a 3-inch line. What happens then? Right? Well, you still plot your points all the way out. Okay? So I'm doing 1/2-inch points. Also, you have to do the same increment of measurement for the points. You have to do, if you do 1/2-inch on this one, you need to do 1/2-inch on the other one that you're connecting. So if you move to the more advanced 1/4-inch and you have more of those, you have to make sure it's all consistent. So I can do another set over here that's different, but the set that I'm working on has to be the same. And if I add to this one like we did the other one, it'd have to be the same. All right, so this one I know is 4 inches, and this one is 3 inches, right? So I need to make sure, absolutely 100%, that I start on the furthest point of the shortest axis line. Because if I start way up here, I'm going to run out of room eventually, right? Okay, so basically you're going to have, for 4-inch versus 3-inch, you're going to have 2 of these points that don't have anything drawn on them. Okay, so right here, start at the end of the shortest one, put my pencil down, line the dot up, just like we've been doing this whole time. Same process. I just have to remember to start on the very end of the shortest axis. And then when I'm done, I have a nice smooth curve that goes toward this area, but notice these 2 dots are left alone. Okay? But what that does for me is that means I could add like a long line here, and then I could add, a 3-inch one this way and create kind of a longer point, or just depends on what my design might be, right? So that's one way if you have something that's a longer axis versus a shorter axis. Always start at the very end of the shortest axis line, okay? So let's get our demo back here. All right. So I want everyone to have this demo page, okay? So even if you've not caught up or stayed in pace with me, I want you to have this finished with these 3 sets connected, just like we did, okay? Then what I want you to do, and I'm gonna put this in the, I may have put this in a description. I can't remember. I think it's 5. Do a practice. practice drawing with, we'll just put at least 5. I can't remember what I put on the description right now without pulling it up, but at least 5 axis sets. Okay, so that's a whole new page. So here's what you need: the demo, and that was done in class. What we just did, all right? Practice drawing, right? And I want this finished by Monday, okay? Don't worry about the final one. We're going to talk about it, and you're going to have next week to work on that one, okay? And I'm going to talk about shading and possibly adding color and that kind of stuff, okay? So this is what we need, and I'm going to stop sharing this video here in just a moment, and I'll be able to repost this into our class, okay? So once again, this is what your practice page, or excuse me, your demo page looks like right here. Your practice page, you will draw on new paper or the back of your demo, which is here, which will be 5 axis sets.